Everything is going poorly for Donald Trump as his incredibly stupid tariff plan causes an economic disaster, which is also leading to infighting within his own White House. It is all a mess, and so to fix that, Donald Trump thought, how about I grab a microphone and start speaking? The worst thing he could possibly do. And that played out as he gave a speech to a group of coal miners who were pretty confused at everything he had to say. It was an absolute mess. And the crowd went silent at one point when Donald Trump started to make what was conceivably, I think, a joke. We're going to get into it all. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video. And if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way and it really does mean a lot to me. Now, Donald Trump sounded stupid throughout this speech, but maybe the worst he sounded was right here.
Germany was finished. They went to wind. The wind wasn't blowing too much. And they went to all sorts of other things. You know, the Green New Scam hit Germany too. And guess what? Now they're back to coal. They're opening up coal plants all over Germany. We're the ones that aren't doing it. I call it beautiful, clean coal. I told my people never use the word coal unless you put beautiful, clean before it. Right, Doc? So we call it beautiful, clean coal.
So Germany and wind. Wind is making a comeback. His anger towards windmills, we're back. It feels like the campaign again. Just absolute nonsense coming out of Donald Trump's mouth. And what's so funny is that these were prepared remarks. This was a written speech. And of course, he's always going off the path and following some weird train of thought into talking about how the windmills are killing the whales or whatever it may be. But this is a guy completely unhinged, and whenever Donald Trump feels like his back is up against the wall, which it clearly is right now, he wants to take things into his own hands, and that always backfires. He also wants to lean on his favorite enemies, which is exactly what he did when he started attacking Hillary Clinton right here.
In the first campaign where Hillary Clinton was about 4 states too early, and she was talking about how bad coal was and how they were going to teach coal miners how to make widgets and gadgets and technology, which they didn't want to do. They want to mine. One thing I learned about the coal miners, that's what they want to do. You could give them a penthouse on Fifth Avenue and a different kind of a job, and they'd be unhappy. They want to mine coal. That's what they love to do. And she was going to put them in a high-tech industry where you make little cell phones and things. I don't know. Do you think he'd be good at that? I don't know. I would be. You don't want to be. And she was brutal about 3 weeks before, but then she had a problem. She went to West Virginia looking for votes, and that was a bad situation. You remember that? And there was a coal mine.
Isn't this administration supposed to be focused on like the future? And we're talking about jobs and growth and all of these things that, of course, won't come to fruition. But what's funny about what Donald Trump is saying here, I guess it's not funny, but it's ridiculous, is that he is decrying the very type of manufacturing that Howard Lutnick says is coming back to the U.S. in droves and millions of new jobs because of the tariffs. The screwing in of tiny little screws into iPhones is the quote from Howard Lutnick. He said Hillary said that, and that was bad, but now it's good? What is it? There is no cogent message coming out of this administration around tariffs. It is all idiot speak, which is more of what we see here with Trump talking about California for some reason.
They do it. When I say do it, they do it, right? And we actually had to do some pretty strong things to get them to open it up. They had, think of this, they had all that water pouring out right into the Pacific. They had a big valve, like a giant valve as big as this room. And they turned the valve, takes 1 day to turn it, and they face it toward the Pacific Ocean. And the water, all that was coming down, all millions and millions of gallons coming down, they put it into the Pacific Ocean, which for the Pacific Ocean is like a drop of water. But for California, it would have been unbelievable. So we did it. I'm very proud of the fact that we did it. We did that against a lot of heat and a lot of environmental nonsense. From now on,
You can kind of see the crowd behind him getting a little tired and confused with what's happening in the speech. And the next clip is where it is the worst, when we just see them silent and kind of shocked. This is what's best about when Trump does the big speeches with the people behind him. You usually don't see that in the White House, but when you have the point of reference of people who are already really trumped up, like those guys want to cheer, they want to applaud, they want to support Donald Trump, but even they're like, what is this guy saying? Like a giant giant thing of what? They opened up the water? What? No, nobody noticed what he's saying, especially in this clip where everyone just went quiet.
Pound for pound, coal is the single most reliable, durable, secure, and powerful form of energy. It's cheap, incredibly efficient, high density, and it's almost indestructible. You could drop a bomb on it, and it's going to be there for you to use the next day, which you can't say with any other form of energy. Virtually indestructible. Most importantly, we have more of it here in America than anywhere else on Earth. We have more coal than any other country. You go to Australia, they've...
Why are we bombing coal? What are you talking about? You can blow it up? Is that the measure by which we gauge what's like the best energy that we need to be investing in? What can we blow up? What's the most blow up proof energy? Oh my gosh. Oh God. And you can just see the guys behind him like, what is he talking about? This is supposed to be a speech about using coal, and now we're blowing it up. None of this makes sense. Like I said, there's no coherent message. Of course, there's never a coherent message coming out of Donald Trump. Just listen to what he had to say about tariffs right here.
Sometimes you have to mix it up a little bit, but we've had great consideration. We've had talks with many countries, over 70. They all want to come in. Our problem is can't see that many that fast. But we don't have to because, as you know, the tariffs are on and the money is pouring in at a level that we've never seen before. And it's going to be great for us. It's going to be great for other countries. We've been ripped off and abused by countries for many years with the tariff situation. They've used tariffs against us. We didn't use tariffs against them or in any way. I mean, we just didn't use them of any monumental proportion. And so we are doing it now. We have tariffs on cars. We have tariffs on lumber, tariffs on steel and aluminum. Steel plants are going up because of it all over.
There's so much contradiction within the tariff plan, but this is the main point that gets me. Do you want the deals or not? Donald Trump says tariffs will save us. We need them to be bigger. 104% on China, 290% on France, or whatever he's throwing out now. But then he talks about the deals right away. Oh, we're doing the tariffs to do the deals, but the tariffs are what we want forever. It doesn't make any sense. Are the tariffs to get rid of other countries' tariffs? Are they to bring our manufacturing back? Nobody knows what he's trying to accomplish. It's part of the reason why the markets are tanking, because of the instability. Not even Trump, who loves the word and the word alone, knows why he likes it, and that's why we see Republicans coming out against him.
You're opposed to what Mr. Trump is doing. Tell us why. Tell us what you're thinking.
Well, you know, I'm kind of old-fashioned, Larry. I don't like taxes, and I don't want more of them. I also think that if you tax something, you get less of it. And I don't want less trade. I want more trade. There's a fundamental argument we have to have in this country. Is trade good or bad? The president and his counselors seem to think that in trade, someone gets ripped off. The truth of the matter is this, that all trade is mutually beneficial, and really the U.S. doesn't trade with China. You trade with Walmart. So when I go to Walmart, if I pay $10 for a shirt, I want that shirt, and they want my $10, and we both go away from the deal having succeeded. We mutually benefited. That's the only reason trade happens. And then if you add it all up and say, oh, China's ripping us off, it makes no sense. Trade deficits are not real accounting. It's a fake accounting, and it doesn't mean anything. What means something is, if you look at trade deficits in proportional to prosperity, the higher the trade deficits, the more prosperity. The lower the trade deficits, the less prosperity. We get a reduction in trade deficits when we go into a recession. We get an expansion of trade deficits when we're in a boom. So really nothing about a trade deficit gives any real useful instruction to the economy.
Well, actually, I don't know whether you're surprised or not, but I agree with you about trade deficits. Actually, I've been riffing about it on the show. That's, I think, a lousy benchmark.
When Rand Paul is making sense, we've got a real problem. When Ted Cruz is going on Fox and saying reasonable things, we've got a big issue. That's the state of things right now. That's the state of play. Is Republicans, and I even want to say like who are worried about their seats, but Rand Paul isn't. He's actually worried about his constituents, which is kind of crazy because It's not what Republicans usually do. But what is also so interesting about the tariff plan is that, as we saw with Canada, some countries are getting real creative with it, like really just trying to target Republican states, which I say, please do. I love that. Gavin Newsom is working out his own little side deals. Go for it. Like, really let the people who made this happen, let them feel it. We can learn a lesson here. But clearly a lot of people have with their portfolios, and the Trump administration isn't responding. But we saw a group of Democratic senators grill Donald Trump's trade representative on all the tariff nonsense, and Tina Smith, one of our favorites, friend of the show, did just that.
Farmers who are experiencing, you and I have talked about this, one of the worst farm economies in the last 25 years are looking at lower prices and higher input costs. Minnesotans who work on the Iron Range, which is the source of 80% of the iron ore that goes into American-made steel, they want fair trade. They want us to stand up to illegal steel dumping, but like 500 of them have been laid off because the demand for American cars has been slumping. I mean, I could go on in every sector. Consumers are freaked out. This looks like a giant sales tax to them. Retirement stock market plummeting, and it's very hard for people to understand what is going on here. So what I want to do is to get an understanding from you of what you see as the goals of this war that we're in, because at various times it's been described as goals to raise revenue, to stop fentanyl trafficking, close trade deficits. So is the goal here to raise revenue for the federal treasury?
Senator, this is not a trade war. We have, most countries have said they're not going to retaliate. We have an underlying emergency. The goal of this, of the trade deficit, where President Biden left us with a $1.2 trillion trade deficit, and the goal is to address that, and the offshoring that led to that, and the non-reciprocal treatment that led to that. That's the goal. Certainly there's a tariff revenue effect. If the countries do not do this, then they will be subject to the tariff, and we'll have a tariff on foreign goods instead of American-made goods.
So, okay, so if the goal is to close trade deficits, then that would mean that the tariffs are a negotiating tool here. Is that right? Is that how you see it?
So the
or
tariff.
Are you trying to use them to?
Well, it can go both ways, Senator. So on the first, we've talked a lot about negotiations because a lot of these countries, they have closed off markets to our exports in unfair ways. They've done it for decades, and nothing has persuaded them. Sitting down, talking nicely hasn't persuaded them.
But if you were trying to, so I'm all for fair trade, and I'm all for the idea that if somebody is not trading fairly with us, if they're not giving us fair markets, then we need to have a strategy to go after that. But yet this is a blanket approach. It's an across-the-board approach, which is going to contribute to raising costs, and that's why it just feels, I think, so chaotic to people.
They have no answers. They have no plan. And there's really no through line to any of this. And they're acting like it. And it is our job to point that out and to call it out. We're doing so on this show every single day. If you want to support that, as always, hit that subscribe button. You can leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.